Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen, in case you don't know that. And I have a wonderful woman here who is my guest today. And we have just been chatting away, just like old friends. And it's been a lot of fun. But now we are recording for all of you guys to listen to. And her name is Ruth, and I'm going to really bungle this one, Yunker.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh my God. Okay. And I didn't even ask. Wow.
No,
So
you didn't.
Ruth is a writer and humorist, and she has published 3 books, 2 of which sound really exciting, not quite so applicable to this podcast, but
really.
something that I do love to do, which is travel.
Yeah.
Yes, both of them about Paris, exploring Paris, which is one of my favorite cities. I don't know what it's like now because it's been a long time since I've been there, but we won't get into that. This is not a travel podcast.
Yeah.
And her third is Baby, I'm the Boss of Me, My Journey to Ageless, which she is holding up here. Thank you very much. And very nice picture.
Thank you.
And Ruth has found the way to tackle the coming of old age that promises to be a fabulous continuation of the joy-filled life she's living now. She plans to use optimism, personal power, and curiosity to carry her through while maintaining her sanity, sense of humor, and joie de vivre. Her book, Baby, I'm the Boss of Me, tells you how you can do that too. So welcome, Ruth. I'm very happy to have you here and very happy to make your acquaintance.
Thank you.
And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what kind of brought you to this point in writing this book as well?
Yeah. Well, what brought me to this point was turning 70 almost 3 years ago. That was a terrible shock, blow to the ego, and no amount of saying, well, you survived this long helped. And then first I wasn't going to talk about it. I mean, my personal friends knew me, but, on social media or something like that, I didn't even have a big party. I had a big party for my 60th. I sort of thought that and that was wonderful. But yeah, so I turned 70 and it took me a week to, get over it and say, hey, it was my 70th birthday. Oh my God. And have everybody say, oh, you look so great and stuff like that. And then I woke up one day and it was my 71st birthday.
Oh.
And then it was my 72nd birthday. And that morning, I got up and I looked in the mirror and I saw the same person that I've always been, it feels like, and
yeah.
I suddenly understood, and I didn't feel like any age. I didn't feel like any age. I didn't feel young. I didn't feel old. I just felt like me. And for the first time in my life, the true meaning of the word ageless hit me. And ageless for me doesn't mean somebody who's just living forever. It means you have no age in your mind. You're just who you are. And so that's what got me to here. And along the way, like with my book, I've developed, things that I think work for me, and maybe they would work for other people. I honestly don't care how anybody handles their aging. I mean, you get the people that will say, well, sure, but you work at it, and the naysayers, and I'm going to do it organically. Well, fine, do whatever you want. As I've gotten older, and I'm the second oldest of a large family, and I have 2 children, 2 ex-husbands, a myriad of pets who have gone over. I have gotten a lot less controlling, I think. I don't know what my siblings would say, but I've just learned what's worked for me really, and this is also works for aging, is if I can't do anything about it, then let it go. And the other thing that I did a few years ago was I consciously gave up worrying. Now, I haven't been able to complete the process, it's practice makes perfect, but I gave up. Suddenly it became very clear to me that worrying about things that I had no control over was a killer. You see these people with these long, desperate faces, and it's
Mhm.
the worrying thing is awful. Of course, there's things to worry about. Do what you can about them, but then I always have a backup plan in my mind too. So, but the worrying thing, that I think that just drags people down. So that's one of my many helpful hints about getting to the stage
Yeah.
and feeling as good as I have. I've never been at a better weight. I have arthritis in my lower back from being a huge over exerciser. I do yoga very seriously. I walk every morning, and I'm lucky enough to be by the boardwalk on the beach, and I take I used to jog, but my back, I have scoliosis, that won't handle
Yeah.
it anymore. And I have, my son is constantly telling me how to take care of my health, so he's a health fanatic. And I found that getting older and getting older takes a lot of work, or it takes a lot of work for me to
Mm.
stay on path with, again, the joie de vivre, the being
Yeah.
curious, being,
Yes.
brave about things,
Yes.
wanting to try the new thing, and not settling. Or, I know there's things that I do that, like my mother or my father may have done, or, my father used to always kind of hold things with his hands and drop them like that. And I'm starting to do these finger exercises so that
Oh, good
yeah,
thinking.
you
Yeah.
know, like stay strong in your fingers,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
little balancing act where you stand on one foot. Now, luckily with yoga, I have a lot of experience of how to maintain it, but my scoliosis was wanting, I would be sitting like this if my body had its way.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
on a straight back chair right now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I go to chiropractor every other week. He straightens me up. And, it's a job. When I
Yeah.
see an older person who's older than I am, and I can tell they're in their 80s or their 90s, and they're out and about,
Yes.
beautifully, meticulously dressed in
Yes.
whatever, if it's casual, and they're
Yeah.
standing straight thing. Do not lean on your wheelchair, you'll be in one, your grocery store cart,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
don't lean on it. It's right there to hold you up straight. It's little things like that. It's a constant, so I mean, for me, that's the health part of it. The psychological part is different, and that got developed more during the pandemic when
Mm.
we were all at home, which I personally loved.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
love my social life, but I liked it. Was to start noticing in your daily life those little tiny miracles that you don't even notice, and stop fretting about the big stuff or feeling sorry for yourself. Unless
Yes.
you have real serious reasons, and I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about severe depression,
No, no.
loss of children, or
Yeah.
that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just your average Joe like I am, who says,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, this is the best sip of water
Yeah.
I've had all day, thank God for water. There it is, and it looks very pretty on my
Ah, yes.
table, or just anything. This is my favorite pen. They tried to get rid of it, so I found it on Amazon. Thank God for Amazon. But to
Yeah.
take joy and pleasure in the tiny
Yeah.
little things that are in your house that you don't pay any attention to. So
Yes.
many people don't. So that's
Yeah.
it. Oh, and then I am an alcoholic, and I quit drinking 22 years ago. And so many people can enjoy their alcohol, and I don't even care if you ever do or don't give it up. It's not necessary. But for someone like me, it was necessary.
Mm. Mm.
And I gave myself back my intuition, trusting my gut instinct after 8 years of sobriety, coming up to
Wow.
22 years. And so that helped me too. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
eat sugar, I eat whatever I want, I just don't eat too much. I exercise a lot. I do all that kind of stuff, but it's the psychological work I think is key.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And well, first off, congratulations,
Oh,
because
thank you.
you've done a wonderful job. I can tell.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Yes, I'm surprised. Really?
um, but yeah, there's it makes such a huge difference in people's lives. I know it made a huge difference in my life. Just to realize that, you know, we're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay just the way we are.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these other things that may be going on. There may be issues that come up. There may be, you know, sicknesses and changes, and, you know, it goes on and on and on. But at the bottom of the whole thing, we're all okay. That's why worrying doesn't do anything. It doesn't create anything except negative.
And your organs are screaming, leave me alone. Do you
Yeah.
know what this is doing to my kidneys? You worrying about money again?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that's something some people worry about, no matter how much or how little you have. You worry about that for your entire life. I saw my father; he didn't worry because he worked hard. He was quite successful, but he said, you know, it all works out. It all works out. Maybe you don't like the answer at first. You know, you don't get that job you want. The first place you send your book to, they don't accept it. You know, the kid, the first time he says to you, I hate you, and he's 14, and you want to kill him, but you love him too much to kill him yet, or by accident. But it's particularly, I don't know. I was never a whiner exactly. I got moved around a lot as a child, so I could feel very sorry for myself about that. But every single move was enlightening. You know, understand the people that lived in different places.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, I could get along anywhere. You
Yeah.
know, really. I understand people who speak English with accents, and I go out of my way to be that way, because when I lived in Belgium, my French was spoken with an accent, and people made it a point to understand what I was saying. And you know, so it's kind of a settling. It's not even a settling back, but although I don't like naps as much as I used to, but I don't like to get up in the morning, and I get up early. But I don't understand. Well, here's the thing. I think it gets in your brain patterns get engraved in your brain, and it takes a huge amount of work and time. Oh, I also believe in therapy. I'm not in therapy right now, but I have been off and on my life. But it can engrave in, you know, it's like that relaxed feeling when you suddenly realize you're still mad at that person for something that happened for 20 years ago, and you get all revved up again. I bet that happens to everybody. I have an argument with somebody every morning when I'm making my bed, you know, and every morning I say, okay, I'm done with that argument. We get along now. That argument's done. So then another argument pops into my mind, and I'm finally beginning to make my bed without there being an argument. I'm always a little stressed out when I make my bed. It must be a habit, you know, it's just a habit, or waking up at 4 a.m. and saying, this is it, it's all over. The other day, what was I worrying? Oh yeah, I was starting to worry about the same old thing that I worry about, whatever the current thing is. And then I said to myself, you know what, Yunker? You're going to be 73 years old on your next birthday. You're that much closer to dying. Does this little problem you're worrying about really matter to you, so that you feel this gut worry and you're, you know, about it? I'm not even worried about dying in the same way I'm worried about this minuscule little issue, whatever the current one is, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and that's sort of, I don't like it when I talk to myself like that, but sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, no, you do. And I think as one gets older, you have to keep reminding yourself that that there's a lot less time ahead of you than there is behind you. And you better remember that and do the things that are important.
Yes, but don't let it upset you. Don't let it scare you about dying, because you know,
no, not that. I totally agree. But it means that you should stop worrying and rewinding the tape of past things that drive you crazy.
Exactly.
And just spend some time thinking about the things that make you happy.
Right, like
and living your life. Yeah.
I've suddenly thought, oh my God, barbecue potato chips. Right down at the corner, there's a little store, and they have my favorite barbecue. I'm digressing. I don't eat that barbecue potato chips, but it's an issue.
But plain ones be fine, right?
No, oh God.
No. Oh, okay. No.
That's like people who eat their hamburgers without a bun and call it a hamburger. I have a whole chapter in my book about people who eat their hamburgers without a bun. One of my sisters is like that. I'll have a hamburger, please leave the bun off. All you have then is a naked, bare, very embarrassed meat patty. Just so you know.
Well, hopefully she puts mustard or ketchup on it or something to obscure the flavor.
Oh my God. Yes, I put everything. My hamburger,
Yeah.
I don't eat them that often, and not on purpose. I'm just too lazy. I'll go out and get one. The other day they actually cooked it perfectly. It was wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. See, I don't do hamburgers. I'm just allergic to the whole cow. So anything that comes from it is
Well, you
just,
have a whole, see, now that's a whole different thing that you've learned to accept. Mine is the scoliosis, the back issues. I mean, they do hurt. I mean, it's like when I stand up from this chair, I'll have to stretch out, and it's a constant issue. But but it's forced me, and I think you'll find it's forced, that kind of a chronic issue forces one to be more aware, and you have to live healthier even though you don't feel like it.
Thank you.
You know?
Yes. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
It sure, yeah.
Yeah, cleaned up my diet totally.
Yeah, and cleaned up my posture and squirt. I mean, that's why yoga is my savior, and Pilates.
Yeah, I know. I need to start doing something like that. I walk, but I don't do. Well, no, I have very bad posture. I've been trying to remind myself to sit up straight and stand up straight.
Yeah. I had a mother who kind of tapped me. She was a Southerner, and she kind of tapped me behind my stand up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But and I've had a facelift. That's somebody else. Somebody said to me, "Oh yeah, I do all that stuff. I'm totally into maintenance, and so that helps too. And so for someone who gets mad at me about that, what they're really mad at is they want one too, but they're either afraid to, or they can't afford it, or whatever the situation is. But don't get mad at me about it. It's something I made the choice to get it, and you're making the choice not to get it.
Yeah. I agree.
I did not have a bad reaction at all. The people always say, "Well, I'm afraid of what they'll do to my," well, then don't get it, but don't,
Right.
But so I'm into that. And my daughter, she was, I think, 30 when I had it, 15 years ago or so. She said, "How can you do that, Mom? I thought you just wanted to age organically and all that, And again, I write about that here. Telling your grown daughter about the facelift, they're always upset at you. They don't want you to do it. And I think I figured out why. It's twofold. One is they think they feel that you're worrying about yourself. They want their mothers to feel strong and be the woman that is always there for them, not worried and not aging and not, they don't want, it's really like that. And
maybe, and kind of it means that they have to accept that you're not going to be around at some point.
Yes, all of that subliminally, I think, plays out in it, and then the other thing is, they're 25 years old when they're telling you this, and it's like, "I'll never have a facelift." Yeah, okay, fine. The playing field was leveled when at about the age of 35, which was a lot younger than I was when I started Botox. She called to say, "Oh, who's your Botox person, Mom?" Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, okay, great, that's fine." But really, it is that kind of thing when your children are having that kind of reaction to you, or when anybody's having a reaction to you. That's the other thing that I think for me is important, is thinking, where are they coming from at this moment? If it feels like an attack on me, it's really about them, of course. And I know it when I'm attacking somebody, and especially when I'm making my bed and I've got Sue Ellen over there that I'm just laying into, it's really about whatever she has that I want, or whatever it is. It's never a good thing, actually. It's never noble.
Well, no.
She doesn't have to be noble either, but it pays to.
There's no such thing as a noble complaint.
No.
you know.
No, none of it works because it's really, especially if you're really angry at the powers that be or the universe, you really lost out because,
Yeah, huh?
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, you're really wasting your time. Yeah.
oh, I mean, or believe what you want. Like I believe, you know, my father used to say, look, we've got a little guardian, and he was a successful corporate exec. We've got a little guardian angel on our shoulder, and they may be not paying attention that much to you that day, but you know, you've always got a little somebody. I think you always, what you have is your inner self, whatever it is, and
Yes.
feel happy, you know, be proud of yourself if
Yeah.
if you know how. Again, we're talking about if somebody's got parents that blew it badly raising them, you know, that's a whole other issue. And in that one, I say go to therapy, please. The first time I went to therapy, I walked in there and I sat down and I thought she was going to ask me questions. She said, okay, start talking. And it was the first time I was, you mean about myself? She said, yes, how can I get to know you or see what it is you know, and I gradually got the idea that it's as you talk and they kind of ask you questions here that you can sort of figure out. The first time it really made sense was I said, well, this is the problem, and that person and this person. And she said, all right, there are three people here. Who was the common denominator in everything you just told me?
I love it.
I used to say that to my kids when they were little. I'd be glaring down at them.
Uh-huh.
Never kneel down in front of your child. And well, now they're taller than anyway. But I would say, why is mommy mad at you? Why is mommy mad? Well, because I didn't put my shoes on right away. Yes, that's why mommy's mad. You see, if you would just put your shoes on, I wouldn't be mad. And it was this, I could see it, especially my son's eyes, kind of this like realization of his consequences of something that I was
Responsibility.
mad over
Yeah.
an easy little thing. He could have just done it, put his shoes on. It wasn't, I mean, he had to put his shoes on. He was going to school, poor baby. I hated school from beginning to end. My mother used to always say, I don't know why you don't like school, Ruth. You know, I love school. And I said, that's because you grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. You went to the same school all your life, and you didn't have to be a new kid every other year for the entire time you were growing up. That's why. And I'm digressing here.
Yes, yes, yes. And you're probably saying it a lot clearer than you did when you were that big. Like,
Oh no, at that age I didn't, but when I was an adult,
oh, okay. I
my
see.
poor mother.
Got it. Okay.
Oh yeah. And I've got an adult daughter, so I get it right back now too.
Oh, yes. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Yes. Well, don't have that issue in my family. So
Of course. Oh yes, you do.
no, they're grown. They no.
They don't get mad once they're grown up, which is nice.
Yeah,
They're
no,
really
no, no,
supportive. Yeah,
no,
mine are
no, they
lying
don't.
to take care of me in my old age. My son is to pull the plug because he's a psychologist and he's more clear-minded. My daughter's a lawyer and she's to take care of all the paperwork because
Mm.
she never puts her dogs down in time. She keeps them alive too long.
Oh my God.
I know. I think she's changed finally with the last one, but I said when I set up the trust, it was all about you do this part because you're good at it, and you do this. And my son said, "Don't worry, Ma, I'll pull the plug." I was like, "Oh, what?" First discuss it with me, and then you gotta laugh at it all. It's insane, you know. Life.
Yeah, 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 it is. It is. And to be honest about it, it's when it gets to that point, when you do have to figure out if you pull the plug or not, or whatever, it's very it's very emotionally upsetting. And it
Oh,
physically, you can just, and so that's why you need to have all your ducks in a row way before that, whether it's wills or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we just see too much of it, keeping unless they want to stay alive. You know,
Right.
my mother died of lung cancer at 78. So, and she didn't fight it once there was nothing she could do. But my father, he lived on he died at 93, and he was done, and he was cheerful, but he missed my mother. And by 93, he had that pacemaker in. He said, "Get it out of me." And we finally got permission from the doctor to take the pacemaker out, but the technician wouldn't do it because he didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was okay. I mean, to put that on somebody else isn't good either.
That's
But,
true. That's
have
true.
things, my sister-in-law, the wife of my younger brother has Alzheimer's, and it's
Yeah.
painful to watch it happening to her,
Yes.
and painful to her.
Yes.
She's still aware enough,
Yeah.
but it's, but they obviously are gonna keep her going. She and he, the two of them, I know, discussed it because she was a high-powered nurse she took care of neonatal babies, and brilliant woman, naturally.
Yeah.
And now you put food down in front of her and she says, "What am I supposed to do with this?" Oh, she doesn't say it that clearly. But I know they're gonna, he's staying with her. They didn't make any plan for her to check out early. So, and now it would be too late. So
Yeah.
everybody has their way.
That's, oh yeah, no, that's my mother. My mother did. I mean, she came up here and things didn't work out, and I think the reason she came up here to be with me was, which that's totally upended my life, but that's a whole nother story. She was ready to go. She was in her mid-90s.
Yeah.
She was having a few, episodes where she think that she kept saying the guy upstairs was talking about her, except there was no upstairs. She was on the top floor.
You meant God, her God. That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really. Yeah.
That's okay.
But anyways, but she went, one of my brothers came and we helped her leave, and bless her heart, she wouldn't leave while either of us was in the room with her.
I think
she waited till the nurse was there at her house. She actually wasn't a nurse, it was someone who had been working with her and helping her, and that was when she went.
Yeah.
And so long, it took so long. God, how exhausting it was.
I know. 3 worst weeks of my father's life were his last 3, because he wasn't actually ill. I mean, he'd had a stroke a year before then. We were having dinner and he had the stroke, and we got him in time for the stroke medication and all of that work. But when his body starts shutting down, and we just did hospice, because we asked, and and one of my sisters and I made the choice that this, instead of propping him up one more time, because he wouldn't drink water, he wouldn't eat, he didn't want to walk, he was just,
you got it.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of it. So, but your body doesn't feel good when it's shutting down.
No.
Yeah, that was surprised me. I used to say, I'm going to do a lot of cocaine when I'm dying so that I can be on top of things, You don't care about things like that.
No.
My mother didn't either. She let go very, very slowly, went on hospice, did 3 chemotherapy times. And said, nope.
Oh, wow.
This is not going to be.
Yeah. No, my mother, we brought in hospice, and they very nicely agreed to her going.
Yeah, you just keep
on her own. She just, she stopped eating and drinking, and they gave us morphine to give her.
Yeah, that's what we did with my mother and my father.
Yeah.
And
so
hospice was wonderful that way. I mean, we put our animals down the minute we know there's an issue. And the animals are fine with it, really. They don't know,
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Well, there's a
wonderful living.
Yes. I was just going to put in a plug for a wonderful organization that has been fighting for this, which is called Compassion and Choices.
Oh, wonderful. Yes.
And California, they actually started up in Oregon. And a couple of years ago, they actually got it passed through the California legislature as well. So people can make that choice and do it legally, because it used to be illegal.
Oh, I know. I mean, to me, when I know someone who's made, because I don't know if I'd be able to actually have the nerve to do it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really don't know. But I know, and I feel the same way about someone as an adult who's committed suicide, not a teenager. We should catch them
Yeah,
first.
that's a whole different issue. Yeah.
Yeah. But the older person who commits suicide, why
Yeah.
is that against the law? I mean, it's
Yeah.
insane. I respect that person. I feel so bad because to feel that hopeless and then that's their choice. And usually it's recurring serious depression,
Yes.
which another thing is to make laws about something with which you've had no experience. You just have a psychological notion of
Yeah.
what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those things, it's who knows. I saw both of my parents go out. They both did it with dignity. So I hope,
Mm.
not some painful
Yeah.
wasting away disease. Mom's cancer was pretty fast,
Mm.
and she had been a smoker. She said, I didn't have a single vice that I got away with. I mean, she had sex once with my father when on her high school or no, his whatever, and they got
Uh-huh.
pregnant. She's in 43. There I am, pregnant. I didn't even want to have children. She grew up poor. She didn't want to,
Yeah.
found herself, and I found out that they had to get married when I was 12. And so I was in
Oh.
the middle of puberty,
Oh
went
no.
rushing into the bathroom there in Belgium. She's on her knees at the bathtub, bathing my 3-year-old sister and my 6-year-old sister,
Oh
two
no.
beauties, with the newest baby on the bassinet over there. I mean, the wages of her sin, and she's 38 years old. I realize now at the height of her beauty. And I rush in there, a good little Catholic girl, and
Uh-oh.
said, I just figured out you and Dad had to get married. And her whole face.
Oh no.
And my and then I started crying and slammed out of there. And as I was slamming out of there, I heard the older of the little sister say, is Ruthie crying? It was a terrible. I apologized to my mother so many times, and I got it back when my 15-year-old found my marijuana in my husband's socks. Now why she was looking in there, I don't know. But anyway, then she said, you lied to me.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't think you were old enough to understand. And,
Yeah. I omitted information. It's not lying, right?
yeah, you didn't need to know at 10 that yes, it was marijuana in the house. No, you didn't need to
Yeah.
know. And it wasn't hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, it
Yeah.
all comes around.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think
The circle of life.
I was going to say, I don't know how you feel about this, but also, and it depends on the person, and women have to make their choice. But in terms of my aging process, what I also believe in for myself is hormone replacement.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've been on it for 15 years,
Yeah.
almost 18 years. I was in Norway once and my luggage had gotten lost, and in it was my
Uh-oh.
my estrogen patches. And that's when I found out
Uh-oh.
that Norway is very pro estrogen replacement treatment. You can go right in there. I didn't have, she said, well, what kind you want? She showed me, she said, here, you're on 7.5, you can get 10. I went, 10? 10, really? I didn't. Anyway, I said, well, I'll stick to what I'll get the 7, and she looked a little disappointed. But I think that helps me in a lot of ways. Now, breast cancer, which they've got us by the throats, they've got men by the testicles with prostate cancer. Everybody's going to get that, isn't in my family per se, but it's also curable basically, unless it's a different type. And there's so many other things that I have genetically in my family, which would be heart disease, that they never talk about. And estrogen is good for that. It's good for the bones, which helps my arthritis and my scoliosis. And so it works for me. And I've never had a doctor just fall over and throw it at me, except at the very beginning. My one now, she's very modern and for it, but I'm also in there once a year. Mammograms for me only every 3 years. I'm not going to have them.
Yeah,
they'll find it eventually if they look.
Well, we won't go down that road. I'll tell you after we get off. But yes, and I agree, and I did the estrogen thing for a while when I was going through menopause, and it just didn't really agree with me particularly. It helped kind of then, but the side effects for me weren't great. And I know there's a lot of different ones out there, but I just was like, you know,
You
not
can feel it.
important.
Yeah. And you know why? Also because of your allergies and all that, and paying attention to it. And this is another thing that's
Yeah.
important as we age, is that you're aware of what your body feels like. It's like I've been vaccinated both times. I've
Yeah.
had one booster. I'm not getting any more. I'd rather just finally get COVID or something, I mean, because
Well, I
I
got them all and got COVID. So
well,
there you go.
see, and
Yeah.
I can
But
feel
I
that.
didn't end up in the hospital.
Well, yeah,
That's what it's good for.
yes, and also apparently, well, anyway,
Hmm.
there's so many versions, and I was all for getting, I mean, I never get a flu shot either. What I was
Hmm.
getting at is that you pay attention to your body
Yes.
and it talks to you, and I do
Yes.
too. I mean, I say thank you to my organs. I've told my skin, since it looks 90 years old from all the suntan I used to do,
Oh, yes, I know you
the
do.
nice little covered up arms here. They've got muscles, but all the skin.
Yes,
Is
all the little dark things.
all
Yeah.
dark, and all you do is look at I knock something and I get a bruise like
Oh,
that.
yes, yes,
I mean, I
yes.
just look at it and it goes, "Oh, where'd you come from?" So today I said, "Sorry about you. Now go away." It says, "Well,
Yeah.
it'll take me about 2 weeks." So I have cover up makeup if I have to. But is to pay attention. So like for you, estrogen didn't feel good. Now I waited until after I went through menopause, because at the time I read that it's better to go through it, naturally.
Yes. Yes.
And then I had issues with sex with my husband, no
Mm,
lubrication, and I mentioned it to my doctor. He said, "Oh, for heaven's sakes, get on estrogen." He put me on, and that immediately solved that problem. So I was kind of a convert. Like, what else does it do? But a lot of times these things don't feel like anything is happening one way or the other if you're not in touch with your body like you are and like I am,
mhm. Yeah.
very in touch with, because of these issues we have with it that
Yeah.
aren't necessarily going to kill us off unless we don't
Right.
really pay attention. Your
Yeah. Yeah.
allergies and my scoliosis won't kill me off, but it'll get me over like this very quickly if I'm not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
doing that. I'm thinking, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. I'll
Well,
stand.
and I'm going to point out as well that it's not just women. It's the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
It's
right.
just the names are changed, right? The names are different as to what the issues are
Oh,
typically,
Ruth.
but they have to have the same kind of attitude that we have
Mm-hmm.
in order to age well,
Yeah, and
and they're not taught that.
no, they're not. That's hard to feel sorry for them, but I'll do my
Now,
best.
now,
Um,
now, now.
I have a son. He said to me the other day, "You think I need Botox?" I said, "Oh, no, you don't. You've got beautiful skin. The daughter, she's got beautiful skin too, and she's a little bit younger, but she's more stressed out than he is."
Ah, well, that'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, it's going to be in the podcast, so that so
No, I'm kidding
it's
about
done.
that. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
she said, "Somehow I found myself in divorce law." And she said, I,
Oh,
I don't know how this happened. She's on her own. And she said, "It's just exhausting."
oh,
During the pandemic, boy, business boomed.
oh my God. Oh my God. That makes perfect sense.
I know. It's kind of
That
funny.
makes perfect sense. All of a sudden, people had to actually be spending time with each other.
Yeah. And with this, the overwhelming sense of weirdness that what I thought found
Oh, yeah.
fantastically interesting about this pandemic is that it was worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, it was worldwide. Nobody could say, like somebody liked to say, "Well, our country is such a mess, and look at this pandemic we have." No, no, the whole world
That's
had this
right. Yes.
pandemic. I mean,
Yes.
down
Yes.
in China, not China, they already wear masks, but like anywhere, South
Yeah.
America, everywhere, they just and
Yeah.
the one thing I like about Instagram is it's so international for me anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the same complaints were going on
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Even
Belgium
though every country was treating it differently.
differently, but they were reacting.
Oh no, exactly. No, but
Yeah.
but my point is that everyone was complaining. They were complaining either about the masks, or they were complaining about having to stay home, or whatever it was. They were always complaining
Always
about
complaining.
whatever it was.
Yeah, the
And
whole world.
the whole world was doing it. It's like, hello, knock, you
It's it's
know.
it's traveling. What I love about traveling is to get over there and wherever it is and find out that the teenagers are just as mad at their parents and
Thank
friends
you.
as they are
It
here.
really is hormonal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, So,
Yeah.
it's human beings, we tend to have some stuff that's exactly the same as everybody else.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. We just look different. Anyways, okay, well, we should probably wrap this up because I think you and I could probably talk for at least another couple of hours without a problem. So I will say, and I will reiterate again, which I just said a little bit ago, which is that a lot of the things that we've been talking about apply to men
Yes.
and to women.
Yeah.
And it starts early. It doesn't start when you're in your 60s or your 70s.
No.
Right? So just be aware. And if you're aware, then you don't need to go through all the, pardon my language, shit that so many people go through and the anxiety that people go through when they start aging. Just be happy about it because you're still alive.
Oh, you're still alive. And the other thing is, well, I think a lot of people get into the victim mode.
Yeah.
They're really good at that. That for me, when I got sober, I went to AA. I don't go so much now, but I love it. I will be forever grateful for it. And it was always like, in this thing that went wrong, you're 50% of the problem, and the other person is 50. It's not always their fault. What did you do wrong? And the person will say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm supposed to take it. And no. Figuring out what you did wrong or what your part was in this situation you don't like maybe you're 90 pounds overweight and it's going to be whose fault? Santa Claus? I mean, if you figure out what your part is, you give up being a victim because you can then start doing something about it.
That's right. You can take action.
You take action and you're no longer the victim. There's nothing worse than being a victim that and so the aging thing, I'm going to be 73. I'm going to have a black tie party, save the date, and when I'm 75, you'll get an invitation.
Okay.
And, but black tie.
Uh-oh.
Oh God, Ruth, but I still. And the other thing to remember, whatever age you are, every time you're an age where it's a 0, 60, 70, 80, 10, people bring you wonderful presents.
Much celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate, my 60th birthday, I had 25 women and my father, my brother, and my son, but
okay. Yeah, they can come. Yeah.
They could come.
Yeah.
And I never got more thoughtful gifts. It was really great. So now I'm more fun when I don't give gifts unless it's something special like that. My mother once said, look, I had 6 children, you all have spouses. I am no longer, for one thing, remembering your wedding anniversaries. That's your problem. Now, some of you have been married more than once. And secondly, when it comes to birthdays, if you're in the same town as I'm in, I will get you a gift. But if you're far away and it means I have to mail it, it's not happening.
Forget it. Right. Yep. That's what gift certificates are for.
Yeah, Amazon. Good old
that too. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but you and I both remember back before Amazon was around. So it was gift certificates, right?
Oh, yes, but I'm so
at whatever department store you wanted, you like to shop at.
Yeah, that was, and especially if you knew, I have a little stepdaughter. When I married my second husband, we each had 2 children, and so we had 2 6-year-olds, an 8-year-old, and 9-year-old. It was an amazing experience. Thank God for therapy. Later on, as teenagers, they all came to us and told us thank you. Anyway, his oldest daughter and I did not really get along. We really didn't, but we were good at, I was a good mother and she had a good mother, and we were good about it. But her father had left earlier, but now was, she didn't have her father at the same amount of time. But what I was going to say about her, she always wanted to be a bad girl at school, but she just wasn't bad enough to be a bad girl. But nonetheless, she gave the most thoughtful gifts from the time she was 10 years old. She, she gave what you wanted, and the other thing she could do was arrange flowers, even better than I could. So whenever I had a party at a certain point, I think she was about 12, I asked her if she would arrange the flowers, and she was like, yes, So on those 2 things, and she's the only one of our 4 children that, well, my daughter's marriage is catching up, but she got married to the good guy, had the 2 kids, they're still married. It's like,
all right, good for her. Good for her. Yeah,
We got all right.
that's great. That's great. Well, that sounds like a wonderful place to wrap this up.
Okay.
And I would like very much to thank you for being on. And I will also end this as I usually do, which is that this is not to be seen as medical advice. It's
Oh,
just
God. No.
good advice. And neither of us are medical people, neither of us are doctors.
Well, I'm
So,
a humorist.
well, there you go. And I'm just, a layperson out here, pretending like I know all this stuff. So, on that note, I will say goodbye and I will see all of you next week.